We are back on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. Lindsay Patterson, Mike Santagata here. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. New Elden Ring DLC came out in the off season, so I'm playing video games, getting feeling senses of accomplishment because
Okay.
I get because things are difficult and I get upset and then very happy. You know, you wouldn't feel that accomplished if it wasn't hard in the first place. So having a lot of fun with that. Other than that, off season, some stuff in the off season is great. I got nothing to do. I just get to hang out. Summer, personal. It's off season talk. Personal favorite season. I don't know. I love
Mm.
summer. I love the heat. Love the heat. Love the heat. You know, winter people. I know that spring and fall exist, but my big thing is I don't like being cold, and I understand
Yeah.
you put up more layers, but like you can't cover, like you're when it's really cold outside, your nostrils are constricting, and you know like it's hard to breathe. That doesn't happen to me in the summer. I don't get that. I sweat. That's fine. I live with that. And I get the whole thing just basically comes down to I like being warm more than I like being cold. But also go outside. The days are at their longest. I can
Hmm.
winter. It's dark by now. It's 7 p.m. This might be the only season it's really always light at 7. It's light until 9 tonight. So I get to have a good time of having plenty of sunlight. People are all outside. I get to go outside. It's when I can play pick up basketball outdoors. And hopefully there's not too many storms because there's going to storm again this weekend, which sucks.
Yeah, I'm a fall girl. I love everything about fall. And
Understand.
my birthday's in the summer, so I should love the summer. But for me personally, I love the fall. Obviously, love when it's that Saturday morning and you have the windows open and you can feel the just crisp air. And college football is about to be on all day. And I'm not even a college football number one lover. I love the NFL. But that Saturday mornings in the fall just hit different. And also, I'm not sure if you've heard of this. Then we'll move on to all of the fun off-season topics for the Cincinnati Bengals. But there's a thing called Summerween for people who
Summer,
love
summer what?
Halloweens.
Oh,
Summerween,
summer ween.
yeah, for
Okay.
people who love Halloween in the fallish, but you're sitting in there in the summertime and you're counting down till October and September. It's a new thing, according to TikTok.
Never heard it, but I like fall. I like fall a
Mhm.
lot. My issue with fall, and it's the same with spring, is it feels like there's more precipitation. Don't know if that's true, but also I feel like the 55 and like nice bright
Mhm.
days, and you can feel that crisp. It just doesn't happen enough for me. Like I feel like it's something like
Okay.
yeah, that's the peak day, but I don't get that day enough. It's sometimes nice and warmer than that, and sometimes a lot of times where we are based, at least in
Yeah.
both PA, Ohio, it could get a lot colder than that, and it can be snowing outside. I hate the snow. Snow is my least favorite thing about weather. So, well, I don't live anywhere it could like hurricane, and I guess I haven't been in a tornado. But least favorite non-natural disaster that weather brings.
I love it. And this is what you talk about. The weather is what you talk about when there's not a whole lot going on. And that is exactly what's going on for the Cincinnati Bengals. And honestly, I would take it right now. But when you think about training camp, it is a month away, less than a month away, as we're recording this on a Tuesday afternoon. They're going to get the practices started on July 24th. They report on July 23rd. I cannot wait until all of that happens and we get all the practices. But in the meantime, we get to play guessing game. What's going to happen? Who's going to be the breakout stars? Because everybody knows every training camp, you're always going to have the breakout player that everybody just talks himself up. This guy's going to be amazing. He's going to be a key guy. We're not talking about he's a sleeper. So I'm going to make you, Mike, give me a sleeper. And it could be somebody who's been on the roster for the last couple of years in training camp right now.
Um, well, a guy that's going to perform well enough in training camp that I think, we'll have like a training camp sleeper is going to be Andre Yosifas because of, like the size speed combination, pretty good player is, he'll blow up training camp and preseason to the point that people are like, oh man, he's got to be the third wide receiver. That might not happen, but I think that's a guy that's like a training camp sleeper. If I'm thinking of a sleeper that's at training camp right now, I've been banging the Trent Irwin might start drum. Like he might be your starter at least to start the year. I don't know if it'll last the entire season, but definitely a non-zero chance, and he might be the leader in the clubhouse if you had to pick one right now. I think DJ Turner a little bit of a sleeper at this point because people think Dax Hill. I mean, hey, maybe Dax Hill's a sleeper, and I'm the one sleeping. But to me, I think DJ Turner is going to win that job. I feel pretty good about a guy that's always played cornerback, winning the job at corner. And Dax Hill played some corner in college, but it was not outside. It was in the nickel. It was slot. It was Mike Hilton's job. So I feel like he's really the backup nickel, but they want to give him a chance to compete and start, and he's not going to start over Mike Hilton. So they moved to DJ Turner. It's like, well, maybe you could start over DJ. But to me, kind of a sleeper. Also, Jordan Battle, kind of a sleeper in that I think people have wrote him off in favor of Von Bell, and I don't think that's a certainty that Von Bell will start over Jordan Battle.
Yeah, I think as we're getting more into the offseason, I really don't know what it looks like. Obviously, Geno Stone will start in the safety room, but I don't know, if it's going to be Von Bell or it's going to be Jordan Battle. But I am here for that competition in training camp to get two guys who are fighting for a starting position or who's going to start, because I'll be completely honest with you. I've said it before. When they signed Von Bell, it was obviously a steal for the Cincinnati Bengals because the Carolina Panthers are paying a salary. So that's just great. You have a mentor and a vet and somebody who the safety room really needed, even though I'm going to get to Dax Hill in just a moment. So I feel you on that. And look, if Jordan Battle has a better camp, that's great news for the Cincinnati Bengals, because you get Jordan Battle, who's your young safety, who's stepping up and showed, hey, I should be out there too with Geno Stone. So we'll see what that looks like. But for me, it's funny because you mentioned both of my breakout players when I was thinking about camp. And it's not fun because I know a lot of people like to kind of say that wide receiver who's probably like 6th or 7th on the depth chart who has an amazing camp, and then everybody like buys in. This guy's going to be awesome. He's going to get some reps. But for me personally, outside of the main guys in the wide receiver room, obviously T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Charlie Jones is a big question mark for me. I really don't know what my expectations should be for Charlie Jones, to be honest with you. I know Joe did a press conference and he didn't mention Charlie Jones. I don't think that was on purpose, but maybe it was. When it comes to reps, we'll see. We really do not know. But for me, I think it's really easy and probably a softball answer to say Yoshi. And maybe I want to see more of that and what it looks like in year 2. I don't know what a big jump's going to look like for Yoshi, but we'll see when it comes to him. But on the defensive side, I had to go Dax Hill. It is kind of a boring pick, but I'm already seeing the articles, the hype articles, what Dax Hill looks like right now, and mandatory minicamp, which is pretty light, nothing too crazy, 7-on-7s, and I'm here for it because one of the things I don't feel like we talk about enough, or maybe we have, and the media overall, is Dax Hill was drafted and he sat behind Jesse Bates. And I totally understood that because you weren't going to take Jesse Bates off the field to put Dax Hill out there. And that is fine because look at the star Jesse Bates is in Atlanta right now. But for me, I think Dax Hill has handled this so well for just being a young guy on the defensive side. You get drafted to a team, you don't start right away, you sit, you play a little bit, then they're moving you in a different position. And I think he's just been such a total pro about it, that it might work out in the long run. And somebody actually sent this to me on social media. And I'm like, you're 100% right. This could end up working out better for Dax Hill in the long run if he works out at cornerback, because that money at cornerback versus the safety room could be a little higher. So who knows what that looks like for him in a year or two when we start talking about extensions, if Dax Hill lives up to the starting caliber cornerback position. And yes, DJ Turner was drafted really high over a year ago, and you do want to see more out of him in a second round cornerback. But for me, I'm here for Dax to continue to shine in training camp, for that to be a really fun battle when you do think about, what that looks like for your secondary. So I'm giving probably the easiest answers and people who maybe I've just been rooting for since they've been drafted. So it's going to be Dax Hill for me.
All right. So we're just on two opposite sides of that, I think.
That's funny. Yeah.
You're on the Dax Hill as a sleeper. I'm on DJ Turner as a sleeper. We'll see. I think one of them is going to play a lot of snaps.
One of us is going to be right.
Or it's going to be Josh Newton. Josh Newton, it was a sleeper all along.
Really though. I'm here for all the hype pieces because, again, we're a month out from football. And then when training camp gets here, I'm here for all of it. The competition is only going to make everybody better. But yeah, the Newton pick, I mean, goodness, I think a lot of people would have said a year ago, year before he was drafted, just in college football alone, that he would have probably been a higher pick if he would have played at that level going into the next year. And he just didn't. But at the same time, feels like a little bit of a steal in a late round for the Cincinnati Bengals in the draft so far. When you went back and watched some of that tape, did you gain anything from it to say, okay, that was a pretty good pick for the Bengals?
Oh, I hate to do this. I didn't watch.
That's fine. You know what? Your honesty is key, because I can always trust that you're not going to just make something up and be like, yeah, you know what? I saw some of
Hey,
this.
that's the brand, though. I am not going to be like, yeah, Newton. I'm pulling up like what Dane Brugler said. Pretty long athlete.
Yeah,
like,
you
I
could
could
have
say
done
some
that.
buzzword. Could say some buzzwords. I'm just honest. Like, if I didn't watch the guy, I'm not going to fake it. I didn't watch it. Look, I've heard some people liked him. I've heard he should have gone on day 3. Like, I don't know. It's probably something around there. So there's probably a case to be made that if he played like you said, like he played the year before, he would have gone much higher. Obviously, he didn't. So there's probably some big concerns with that too. Of like, well, what happened? like, how bad could it have been? And I guess I would have to watch to figure that out. But yeah, I got to McKinley Jackson, and then I lost the energy too because I hit my bachelor party and the wedding stuff picked up. And now I would be able to watch, but it's too late to write anything. I mean, maybe I'll watch in a month or so. I always give myself the tolerance break of football, so that when I come back, I still love it and I don't just constantly grind and hate it.
Yeah, I got good news for you. There's going to be plenty of opportunity to write about him during training camp, because good. I mean, even though it is training camp and there's football every day, the battles, everybody wants to talk about that. And honestly, there's so much focus on the offense that the defense rarely gets any credit for anything. Even if it's a breakup or an interception, it's just nothing. It's just like, oh, okay, good breakup. That's it. Nothing about the play. It's all, about the wide receiver who dropped the ball, or the quarterback who threw the interception. It's really never on the defensive side of the ball. So maybe we'll see some defensive articles from Mike when we get into training camp. But is there any other breakout players you want to talk about? Because there's a little more I want to connect to this in our next segment.
I think Chris Jenkins will be ready to go right away, but what constitutes a breakout for a guy that's probably going to be a good run defending defensive tackle? Does that just mean he steps in the league and he earns his snaps and he plays well? It's like, but I mean, look, Zach Carter wasn't giving you sacks either, but like, he's not going to give you sacks. Like, probably, maybe he could, I guess. But in my mind, year 1, year 2, he's probably not a sack guy. He's probably we like when he's on the field and we pull him off on third down to bring in, Sam Hubbard inside, Miles Murphy outside type of situation, or whatever they're going to do, a NASCAR type package where we're going to get as many pass rushers on the field as we can. And I don't think I include him in that. I'd rather include BJ Hill than him, just based off of what I would project him to do. But could he be a sleeper? I mean, I was doing a thing for Locked On Bengals that'll be out soon too. Jake Liscas is rated like our top 15 Bengals for the future or next 4 years or something like that. And Chris Jenkins was like right at the end of that. It's like, he was a 2nd round pick. Should he be at the end? Like, should I have him higher? Am I sleeping? I've got my own. I keep naming sleepers for like me. Like, am I sleeping on Chris Jenkins? Like, he could just come in the league and it's like he could give you a BJ Hill type of season right away. And if he does that for cheap for the next 4 years, like, he would definitely be one of the top 10 most important Bengals.
Yeah, I love his energy so much. And I know that even I was talking to Paul Dehner, actually saw him over the weekend, and we were talking about some of the players. And I was just thinking about Chris. I'm like, that has to be a media win for them whenever they talk to him in the locker room, because his personality is amazing to listen to. And a lot of his interviews, just a young guy who's a rookie in this draft class. And I think it's going to be fun when you think about him on this defense overall. So I'm excited to see his impact early on in his rookie year. But there are a lot of young guys, and I kind of want to talk a little more about that. It could be signings or draft picks when it comes to the guys who are going to make the biggest impact during the season. We talked about some of the breakout players in training camp, and one of the things that I liked about when we talk about breakout players is we weren't going for the ones of like the goodness. I'm trying to think of like, it could be somebody who probably won't even make the team, or they're like kind of at the back end of the 53-man roster, and we're sitting here trying to be like, this guy is going to be a breakout player.
I don't want to speak on anybody, I guess. So I will say, I was thinking, like if you're trying to say Tanner McLaughlin's going to steal the tight end job and do all that, it's like, what are the odds? I mean, I guess it could happen.
Their tight end room's better, though. I think it's better than what it was last year, but it's pretty much the same except for an upgrade over Irv. I think it's better. It's better.
If
it's not better.
Respect to Irv. Didn't play well here, so it would be hard for Gesicki to. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but it would be hard for Gesicki to do worse than that. I mean, could happen, but I would not expect it.
I cannot believe that. I was so wrong about Irv Smith Jr. And one more thing before we move on to our next segment. The one thing that I struggle with is that Niners game for me personally. That was the game that just bums me out because obviously the Bengals, Joe Burrow was playing a near perfect game. They could have put 40 plus on the 49ers and they were about to score again. And he lost the ball. So that's it.
Yep.
Hopefully
that felt like the end of it too. That it felt like they're giving him like, no, Irv's fine, and they kind of draw up a play for him to score a touchdown. Feel good, Irv. Let's get your confidence back, and he fumbles.
The next week they made it the tight end game against the Sunday Night Football against the Bills. Everybody was scoring a touchdown.
Yeah,
they were trying to get his confidence back.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
Man,
that was crazy. Caught a touchdown.
Okay, I get depressed thinking about that stretch of football because that team made me believe that they were going to go. They were going to find a way to get to the AFC Championship game again. But we will move on to our next segment, a little more kind of similar, not breakout, but more of the guys you're going to be paying attention to for this regular season and that maybe we're not giving enough attention to. Next on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. We are here a month out from training camp for the Cincinnati Bengals, so we are just doing a little fun predictions, outlook when you think about the 2024 season for this club, when you think about some of the draft picks and signings. I know we just mentioned a few of the draft picks, but just overall, when you think of the moves for the Cincinnati Bengals, who is going to make the biggest impact during regular season? Our way too early prediction.
I think we could split this up offense, defense again. To me, offense, I think will be Zach Moss.
I was going to say him.
Okay. Well, my number 2 would be Trent Brown because I think Trent Brown might be the best player they added. Mm-hmm. But I'm also, we've talked about it, like if I get 11 games from Trent Brown, I'm cheering. Like, yeah, let's go.
Right now. Sign up. Sign me on the dotted line right now.
So I think Zach Moss likely play them all. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Hey, 6 more games, man. But if I'll let you have Zach Moss, then I'll take Trent Brown then. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit because I think about the run game of Zach Moss, and then I think about Chase Brown because it just sounds like when it comes to Chase Brown, his offseason workout, what he's been able to do, we didn't really get to see him, obviously, a full season with Joe Burrow. They wanted to make Chase Brown more a part of this offense before he got injured. And it was really when this offense was starting to play really good football for that 3 to 4 game stretch before they lost Joe Burrow. But overall, when I think about the run game as a whole, so I'm kind of just lumping both of them in together. Chase Brown as a receiving type running back, what we saw to Joe Mixon a lot of his career, I'm looking forward to that. And then you add on Zach Moss, who obviously I think we've talked about it plenty. I feel like he's going to be running back number 1, but it still might be the running back by committee where you do kind of split the snaps, maybe 60-40% with Zach Moss on top and then Chase Brown too in year 2. I'm excited to see it. I've said it before and it sounds like a broken record. Joe Burrow has said it before. He said it plenty of times and, he approved of the offseason moves, but this team needs to get more explosive in the run game. Yes, they're always going to be pass first offense when you have a guy like Joe Burrow, when you have wide receivers like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That makes all the sense in the world. But look, it would be really nice if you had a running game too, and one with speed. And I'm really expecting to see a lot of that in Zach Moss, and I'm connected with Chase Brown. So that's one of the things that I feel like we're not talking enough, not just us on our podcast, but just overall, when you think about this Bengals offense, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in a guy like Samaje Perine when it comes to some of these camp cuts, because they have plenty of guys in their running back room. It's an easy connection. They're familiar with him. It's something the Cincinnati Bengals have done before. Look over at Von Bell right now. I know Jarrett McKinnon is a name that could be a possibility as a third running back that they add to the running back room. I don't think that they're totally done there. And look, we'll see what Moss and Chase Brown do together on the field in the running back room. But for me, when I think about some of the guys and who they signed, and I do think that they obviously felt confident enough to say as soon as Zach Moss was signed, Joe Mixon was cut. And it was a move that felt like, wasn't really surprised to see. I know a lot of people kind of were, but overall took a pay cut last year. He's on another team now. So for me, it's the running back room.
Yeah. And, oh man, I would like either Samaje or Jarek. I think Samaje would give you stability. Obviously he was a fan favorite. He runs hard. I don't think it helps the explosive run department because
No.
he was part of the running back group that did not get many explosive runs, even if you remember the very fun plays of going the wrong way on the screen for a touchdown and whatnot. McKinnon, though, I think does give you explosive ability. He's just a little older. He's had some injuries. But what is the risk? Because Kansas City always signs him like right before the season. Maybe that's just a deal they have, like the Bengals used to have with Mike Thomas, the safety. Would be like, hey, we're going to cut you and we'll bring you right back. Maybe this is with McKinnon. They're like, yeah, we're going to leave you out until we figure out who all's making the team and we'll bring you back. But just slide in the DM, see, hey, what's up? You up?
Yeah.
Let's see what's going on here. Because he's good enough in pass protection to be on the field on those 3rd and longs, but he has juice and speed. People kept talking about like the Clyde being Clyde. Jarek off of surgery, like 3 weeks, I think, after his surgery or something, way before he's supposed to come back, was playing over Clyde in that Super Bowl. So I would like it because I think he brings what they could be missing a little bit. It's kind of similar to what Chase Brown might give you, but never wrong in adding more athleticism to the running back room. But I'm also for Samaje Perine because right now it's a 2. If I was trying to project out the running back snaps, it's Moss and Brown, and that's it. And will that wear them down? Do you want a 3rd guy just to take 5 to 10 snaps a week? And that's not 5 to 10 carries or touches a week, just a breather for the guys. Because right now, the only breather I can think of is 3rd and extra long when Drew Sample's the back there.
Yeah, I agree. When you flip sides right now and you think about the defensive players, it could be a draft pick, it could be a free agent signing. I feel like this one's a pretty easy answer. We're probably going to agree on it, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, Geno Stone, right?
No.
Oh, defensive signing you like more than new impact. Okay. I was on Geno. So where
Rankins.
Were you? Oh,
I'm going
love
for
both. Love
getting
both.
to the quarterback. They love him. They love Rankins. They wanted
I
him
love
before.
Rankins too, but I was thinking Stone.
I was a big fan of that signing. I know a lot of people feel like the interceptions just landed in his hand, but I think it's going to be big. I'm
to
excited.
Put yourself in the right position to catch those, and you have to catch them, as we know from Dax Hill. So it's like I think a majority of them were tips or overthrows, and he was in the right spot. But he's in the right spot, first of all, and he caught them, second of all, and third, like that might go away, but he still played good safety. Other than he wasn't just providing interceptions. I think that's also a thought there. So I thought it'd be Stone. I mean, I guess like what is the impact difference between a defensive tackle that's going to give you good pass rush, some solid run defense versus a safety that might create some turnovers and be in the right spot? I don't know. I got him about even. So I was kind of surprised you thought it'd be obvious. So I thought, it's probably Stone then, huh? Because, Rank is probably going to be a little bit of a committee there with Hill and whatever else they've got going on. But yeah, I think Rankin starts. I think he's going to play a lot of snaps. I think he's going to be really good.
I want to go back to Geno Stone because you've watched enough of his tape. Obviously plenty when he was with the Baltimore Ravens, and good for him to get a payday. Definitely he's still a young guy who could end up getting another payday in a couple years too. It's a short-term contract with the Cincinnati Bengals. But when you think about him, and I just mentioned the interceptions, obviously the one that stands out for me is because it was against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I could say the same thing about Sheldon Rankins being able to get to the quarterback when you think of what he's been able to do when he was with the Houston Texans. But Stone, that interception that he had against Joe Burrow, would you say that's more of a just Geno Stone, smart, intelligent IQ play, or just being in the right place at the right time?
Oh, 100% smart and intelligence IQ play. That was one of the best reads that I saw this year for a defensive player out of anybody, Bengals, non-Bengal. To make that play was awesome. I mean, he kind of left his responsibility, but just knowing Burrow wouldn't look that way when he showed that he would be there, and then it's kind of like faking him out. Like, yeah, we're gonna play quarters, and I'm gonna double chase. Like I'm lining up double chase. We got the corner even lined up to be outside leverage so like I should be inside, he's outside. We're just going to bracket chase. And on the snap, he lets the corner just get toasted. The corner's dead on arrival in that play. Like Chase wide open, but it doesn't look that way because he thinks it's bracketed. So he moves to what the designer play was, but Stone's reading his eyes in the play and is able to make that play. It's incredible. So no, that would be a great example of him putting himself in position to make that play and not just by luck being in position to make that play.
After a down year, just overall with the defensive side of the ball, and I really I look at the secondary, I look at, getting to the quarterback, not being able to stop the run, linebacker play. You could look at Jermaine Pratt, you could look at Logan Wilson. I don't really know who to blame more, but overall, a lot of vets out there who didn't make plays last year, and it all just connected in different position groups. When you think about some of these new additions on the defensive side, because I said before, we give the offense a lot of love. I think it's very easy to look at the offense and the superstars you see on the other side of the ball. But defensively, and you think about Lou and this crew and his secondary and getting Von Bell back, you have Geno Stone and other additions on the defensive side of the ball. And you can even look at the rookie department. How do you feel about the defense right now versus what we saw last year and giving up those explosive plays and just absolutely looking brutal down a lot of the stretch?
Yep. Yeah. And on one hand, like, Stone should help prevent some of the explosive plays that are happening. And on the other hand, Rankins should hopefully prevent the quarterback from having enough time to find some of those explosive plays. So they both should help it in theory. I think they're both good players. Let's see it hit the field and work in the system.
Stopping the run is the only thing that I would say right now. It's really easy to point out and say that's something that is a big concern right now. Do they have enough pieces to make it work? I'm not really counting on McKinley Jackson in his rookie year to step up and be a huge part of that. And I think their biggest focus is let's stop the passing game. Let's be good at stopping, getting to the quarterback, and then we'll figure out stopping the run later. And I know they're in the AFC North and they have to face Lamar Jackson and they have to face Derrick Henry at running back. And that is absolutely terrifying when you think about the weapons that they bring to the Baltimore Ravens offense. But overall, I'm excited about the secondary. And I think that's going to be huge for Lou and his crew. If there was one group that I have the biggest confidence in, and you have a guy like Lou as your defensive coordinator, it is definitely a secondary, because it did feel like a down year. And I think you can look at the players, and obviously it's easy to look at the coaching staff too in certain areas. And I'm expecting a bounce back defensively. I don't think we're going to be getting the Super Bowl or maybe even the year after's defense of what we've been able to see out there. But I do think you still have a lot of young playmakers, and maybe we'll see some different guys step up. And I want to see that out of the linebacking crew, because I was excited that they were able to get Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson back last year, and it just kind of felt like a down year. Yeah.
Linebacker is healthy all year, and it's just a down year all across the board. But we'll see. I still have faith that Lou's a good coordinator. Yeah. I think that he was let down by communication and everything else on the back end this past season. I think this year is huge for him, because every year it makes it harder and harder for him to get that head coaching job. That's why I remember being sad that he wasn't able to pull one off going into last season. So this year, I think he could bounce back and make a playoff run. Where he makes his name is in the playoffs. So got to get there. And you're not going to get there without being at least a solid defense.
Yep. And there's some more I want to say when we get to our next segment, a little Joe Burrow, and then obviously Fashion Week Joe Burrow, because we're in off-season mode. But is there any other topics on the breakout player signing draft picks that you expect in 2024?
When are we going to talk about Austin McNamara?
Oh my, yes, punter competition. That's going to be wild.
Big heated competition. Our Punalytics guys say Austin McNamara should be the heavy favorite. We'll see. I think it'll be a true competition because he wasn't drafted. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a real 50-50 toss-up for where they would be right now. Got to make sure McNamara can hold. But based on college, man, it would be hard to say McNamara. It's a different game, different ball, different style of punting. It's so much quicker in the NFL. Just watch games. This isn't like me being an expert. Just watch games, how fast the NFL punters get it off versus how slow some of those college guys take to punt the ball. So can you develop that NFL style of punting and be efficient? We'll see. But I'm actually kind of excited to see how it goes.
Look, we've said it before on this podcast. They were probably a bad punt away from going to another AFC Championship game. And
Tommy Townsend was a Bengal, and oh boy, I forgot his name. Oh boy, Drew Chrisman was the Chief in that game. Might have swung the other way. Punting was huge. The Chiefs kept pinning the Bengals back, and the Bengals couldn't get anything on their punts.
It's nightmares to think about that, but that is over and we only think about the future. There's a little topic I want to get to with Joe Burrow, and then obviously we'll talk about his busy week in Paris and France next on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. We are back on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. It is the off season. We are 1 month away from training camp, and I cannot wait for football to be here, but I hope everybody's having a wonderful summer. Thank you for listening. Next, we're talking everything Joe Burrow. There's one topic I want to get to before we get to his busy week, kind of stepping out of his comfort zone, is I listened to this on a local radio station in Cincinnati, ESPN 1530, and they were talking about Joe Burrow and obviously kind of outside of the injuries, what would be a down year, you think, for Joe Burrow if he fully stays healthy? And I thought they brought up a really good topic, because when Joe Burrow is healthy, goodness, you could even say when he's batting 80% right now, or he had dealt with training camp injuries and he's been able to, go to AFC championship games, play away from a Lombardi, play away from back-to-back AFC championship games. That's what we've seen from Joe Burrow when you get a full season out of him. And it's, for me personally, not a make or break year. If Joe Burrow is fully healthy and they don't win a Super Bowl, yeah, it would be a down year for me. But for me personally, what would be down for Joe Burrow as a quarterback, where if they miss the playoffs, they only have 8 wins, he's fully healthy, and they don't get anywhere offensively, that would make me feel like, oh, he's definitely taking steps back. But outside of injuries, what do you look for in Joe Burrow in the 2024 season? If you were promised, hey, this guy's going to have a fully healthy season, or you're going to get 90% of fully healthy Joe Burrow the whole entire season, especially going into the playoffs, what are your expectations and what are you expecting from him?
I mean, high level play, and I would think pushes for 4,500 plus yards and 40 touchdowns with, I mean, he's risky, so I don't think it'd be under 10 interceptions or anything, but like I'm thinking he'd put up elite numbers like he's done when he's healthy. Will he be healthy? Will he be able to start hot? Will he not have any shenanigans happen this offseason? We're not through it yet, so knocked on wood. Hopefully not. So if he's fully healthy and he's able to play the entire year and he's not recovering from anything, I would expect fireworks. I mean, yeah, they lost Tyler Boyd, they lost Joe Mixon, and I mean, the tight end room's better than last year, but who knows if it's better than the year before? I don't know. But at the same time, I don't think it's been that important. Like, he was still putting up good numbers and winning and everything else when Jamar Chase was out 2 years ago. He's able to do that. He's able to do that when T. Higgins has been out. So it doesn't feel like he's that reliant on having this super elite wide receiver group around him or anything. I would expect Joe Burrow to put up good numbers and for it to be a good team. Like, whenever I predict them record-wise, I'm thinking Burrow's going to be healthy. So when I'm saying like 12-5 or so, 13-4, I'm thinking that's a healthy Joe Burrow leading them to that record, which that's a very good record. I don't want people to, I mean, 12-5 is pretty darn good. I mean, I just think they're like a 12-4 team, and I still haven't adjusted to like, what is 17 games worth of, what does that mean? I mean, I don't know when I'll adjust to that. So I just somewhere between 12-5 and 13-4.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, the biggest thing, if Joe Burrow's healthy, I have all the faith in the world in this offense. And that is me not even counting getting Jamar Chase and T. Higgins together on the field for every single game, because you just can't expect that in the NFL. Anything could possibly happen. And one guy's going to probably step up and have a better game more than the other guy. And obviously this is a big year for T. Higgins. We've talked about him enough this offseason, but it's going to be huge that he's back at training camp. So for me personally, yeah, Joe's healthy. I agree with you. I think it's a 12-win regular season. I know getting the number 1 seed is amazing and awesome for a lot of people. And yes, I would love if they played all of their playoff games at home, because that would be so much easier. And I feel like a little less stressful because they do play well at home. But if they get into the playoffs, I count them against anybody. They're the only team so far that has been able to, step up and beat a guy like Patrick Mahomes, a play away from doing it in back-to-back years. And unfortunately that didn't happen. So we'll see what it looks like. But Joe Burrow, outside of football, he's taken some time away. He even said, in his press conference right before he was beginning his offseason into training camp, that he was going to take a vacation, rest a little bit, relax. He started his offseason 10 weeks prior to everyone else when it comes to all the rehab and everything that he had to do in mid-November. So for Joe, He's been busy at Fashion Week. He did an interview with Vogue, things I did not have on my bingo card. When he said, hey, I want to step out of my comfort zone. I like, the connection with fashion and sports. And we obviously know Joe is a big fashion guy. I really didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was really cool. And honestly, what players do in their own time or off time, I really do not care about, as long as they're not getting in trouble. So for me personally, I thought it was really cool. I know some people have kind of mixed reaction to it of what's Joe doing? He's in a fashion show in a backless jacket. For me, I thought, I don't know. I think it's cool. And he did an interview that he had stated that, hey, I want to kind of get the fans to know me a little more, because Joe's been a very private person his whole career, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he kind of wants to be a little more open over on social media. I don't know if he's getting a TikTok anytime soon, but I thought it was really cool that he just expressed, I'm trying to do things a little bit different than I've done before. And I'm feeling that out right now.
Yeah. This is not my forte, so I would
It's
let you
okay.
take the lead on all this.
You don't know
cool.
fashion?
No, but cool, he's doing it. Cool, he's expressed himself. Don't have too much of an opinion. International star hitting France.
Yeah.
Chase hitting France. Jamar Chase. Kelsey was in France recently. Was that England?
He was in England.
Okay, once you cross that pond, it's all similar to me, especially when you're north like that. So okay, they were pretty close though. I don't think it's too far to drive. Well, there's a.
You take the not the tube, but the train. I took the train underwater. I'm probably saying the wrong name, but I've done that. It's like a 2-hour ride.
Okay, they could have hung out. So
they could have.
No, yeah, it's cool. I mean, played some chess. Seemed like you had a good vacation. Me too. I had a good vacation recently.
You know what? I'm so glad happened before Joe went on this vacation and did his thing. Again, do whatever you want to do. Do not care. All I care about is Joe being healthy during the season. I'm so glad Justin Jefferson signed his extension before, because Joe was with Justin Jefferson this whole entire trip, and we would have never heard the end of, look at Joe and Justin Jefferson. They're walking in the fashion show together. They're in France together. They're doing a lot of interviews together. I bet he's going to sign with the Bengals. We'll see what happens. I'm so glad that is over, because that made for an extra long offseason, and good for Justin Jefferson getting the bag. But I'm glad they're just two LSU players hanging out, and we don't have to hear that rumor anymore.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I was there from the start, but sometimes these things just come up and I just let them go. I'm like, sure, whatever, run with it. I make one comment, I get told I'm stupid, and I just go, okay, they're trading for Justin Jefferson, whatever. Don't care enough. This is like last year. It's like Jonah Williams stinks. Jackson Carmer will start over. I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. And it's like, yeah, I will, blah, blah, blah. It's like, Jonah Williams stinks. Jackson Carmer, did you see him against the Bills? And I just go, okay, yep, sure, whatever. Jackson Carmer's going to start over. Okay, I'm not talking about it. Like, I'm at the point. I'm becoming an old man. I'm not wasting my energy on this. I know it's not going to happen. You want to believe it'll happen? Go ahead. And then we'll hit the same point when it doesn't happen.
Any other thoughts on Joe Burrow being a fashion star?
Good for him. I mean, I saw that rumor the one time that he and his girlfriend might have broken up. So maybe he's out there looking for love. Who knows? Fiance? I'm not here to say anything about it though. So hopefully, if she's around, she approves. If she's not around, Joe is showing himself, and there's plenty of ladies that seem interested.
You know what? I was thinking when Joe mentioned TikTok when he was at one of his social media interviews, I was like, Joe, stay away from TikTok, because there are girls all over TikTok with their edits, and they have plenty about Joe Burrow. So you might want to stay away from that app. But yeah, good for Joe. The only thing I care about is Joe Burrow throwing touchdown passes. And I do not care what he's doing in France. He could walk in 5 billion fashion shows. Good for Joe. I don't. If you're upset that Joe is enjoying his downtime in the offseason, you need to go touch some grass. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a thing. Do what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's for a lot of things this offseason. Is kind of who cares? Do what you want.
Do what you want to do. I do not care. I think it's cool for Joe. He stepped out of his comfort zone, and hopefully he enjoys it. And I hope he's the MVP, and he's comeback player of the year, and he throws for 500 billion yards. And that's all I care about. And I hope he leads the team to. I hope the NFL's posting a lot of Joe Burrow. I hope it's just all part of the script. And it ends in NOLA with him holding the Lombardi, and then I will never complain about a thing again. So that's where I'm at right now in the off season. Any other thoughts on the Bengals off season as we are 1 month out from it all?
No, not right now. But look, off season's off season. Soon we'll have more things to talk about than just the fashion shows. But for now, I'll enjoy it as it lasts.
Same. Good for Joe. Good for Joe and Jamar. Jamar was also there. And make sure you just check out Mike's work. He's going to get back to it, and he'll have plenty of content. If you haven't checked out all of his content from draft weekend, make sure you go back to All Bengals. Go follow Mike on Twitter, Bengals_Sands. You can follow me at LNDS Patterson. Thank you for listening to the off-season edition of It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. I didn't